בחצי השני של המשדר נהיה עם אחד האנשים הכי בוטים, הכי שנויים במחלוקת, גם הכי משפיעים, בטח באמריקה. קוראים לו גארי יורופסקי, טבעוני שמוביל את המלחמה באכילת בשר ומלחמה ברצח בעלי חיים. מבחינתו גם אלימות היא אמצעי כשר במלחמה הזאת. הוא מגיע ארצה עוד מעט, ושווה לשמוע את השיחה הזאת איתו. אי אפשר להישאר אדישים לאיש. הוא בעיני עצמו לוחם חופש, בעיני אחרים הוא טבעוני חסר גבולות, בעיני עצמו הוא אקטיביסט שדבק במשימה, בעיני אחרים עבריין שמוכן לנקוט טרור כדי להפסיק את מה שבעיניו הוא רצח ברוטלי של 150 מיליארד בעלי חיים בשנה, רק כדי שיהיה לנו סטייק על הצלחת. גארי יורופסקי, שההרצאה שלו באינטרנט כבר גרפה למעלה מ2 מיליון צפיות ברחבי העולם, ואגב בישראל יותר מבכל מקום אחר בעולם, מגיע ארצה בדצמבר. אמש הוא התפנה לשיחה מיוחדת איתנו. גארי, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
I know you've said it and you've told it so many times, and still I ask you because I think it's important to understand you. Was there a moment in which you realized you shouldn't be eating any of this anymore?
Yeah, I had a few moments in my life that awakened me. I guess the first and foremost was when I was 23, my stepdad took me behind the scenes to a circus because he was a clown in the Shrine Circus. And I saw elephants chained up, their front left legs, back right legs chained to a cement floor in the warehouse of the Michigan State Fairgrounds. So that, sent me on the path towards veganism. I didn't go vegan right away, though. Like most people, I was stubborn. But once I went to a slaughterhouse, because that was my next trip, my next venue, I went to the Thornapple Valley Pig Slaughterhouse in Detroit, Michigan, and I watched live pigs being cut up into pieces, screaming, tormented, tortured. My heart hurt. I had tears rolling down my eyes. I was still a meat eater, but I knew something was wrong. And once you examine the issue from the victim's point of view, I don't think you can come to any other conclusion besides veganism.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that to make people understand, you need to have them see and hear the graphics the way you just described it and the way you show them in this short video that you insist on showing any time you give a lecture?
If people don't see what a slaughterhouse is really like, no one will ever believe it. It's kind of like talking about the Jewish Holocaust. I mean, if you can't really see a photograph of Jews standing side by side in a concentration camp, your mind won't let you fathom the atrocity that's taking place, because our mind does want to protect us from these things. When you add this into the mix that the media does nothing but lie, and I don't mean journalists, I mean TV advertisements. They're always showing you happy, singing, cartoon caricatures of animals, so nobody wants to believe that a cow was hung upside down while she was screaming and had her throat sliced and the blood drained out of her body. So I do have to show these videos to let people know that this is the worst atrocity that has ever taken place on this planet. In the last 12 months alone, 60 billion land animals and 90 billion marine animals were killed for a sandwich. That's 150 billion innocent beings being tormented, tortured, oppressed, and murdered because we think that they don't count.
And Gary, nobody can contest the cruelty you expose, just the means and the extreme approach. Do you think that there is moral equivalence, that indeed the mass murder of Jews in the Holocaust is morally equivalent to the murder of animals for eating?
I think the mass murder of animals is way worse than the Jewish Holocaust, way worse than black slavery in America, than apartheid in South Africa, than the Palestinian situation, than what happened in Rwanda, Armenia. You name it all. You can bring up all the oppressed people throughout the history of humankind, add up their numbers, and those numbers pale in comparison.
But you talk numbers, and I talk moral ideas. And I am asking you, and perhaps it's a provocative question, but I bet you don't oppose provocative questions. If you saw now a 3-year-old kid and a 3-year-old dog, both of them in danger, both of them need you to save their lives, whom would you go first?
Depends who's closer. But I'm going to ask you this question. If a black baby or a white baby was in need, who would you save first?
I would never choose. I would never choose, but I would choose between the dog and the kid.
Well, that's because you're a speciesist. I'm not a speciesist. I'm not a racist. I'm not a sexist. It kind of depends on the situation. I would save whoever is close to me. I would save both, so I wouldn't be a hypocrite.
Gary, after years of struggle, do you believe you will live to see the day when humans don't eat and don't kill animals anymore?
I'm not sure about that. It kind of depends on what day you ask me. You ask me on a day when I'm doing lectures and people are listening, my answer would be yes. You ask me on a day when people are not listening and being selfish and stubborn and arrogant and ignorant and cruel and vicious, I guess my answer would be no.
By the way, what's the single most surprising response that you ever got to a lecture?
God says it's okay to kill his babies.
Oh, right.
The oldest excuse in the book. It's always the oldest excuse. God says it's okay. Meanwhile, real quickly about that, if God created the animals, humans, and the earth, then therefore God is inside the animals, humans, and the earth. Therefore, if you kill animals, humans, and the earth, you are killing a piece of God. It is the most insane excuse ever. But I know why people use it. It makes it easier to sleep at night when you say that your God says that it's okay to torture and kill. People have used God to torture and kill others before too, not just animals. We do it to each other.
On an optimistic note, Gary, even your good friend Darren gave in, didn't he?
Oh, Darren. Darren unfortunately never sticks with it. He's been my best friend for 5 years. He says all the right things, but he doesn't do anything like most people.
Like most of us.
By the way, yeah, listen, most people are not evil people, but most people are lazy, apathetic, and don't care.
But Gary, when one listens to you, one has no other option but to think that you believe that we are mostly evil.
Well, listen, what we do to animals is completely evil. I will not mince words about that. Because if you go to the nearest cow or chicken slaughterhouse and remove the animals and replace them with humans, all of a sudden it's a tragedy. The world screams bloody murder. Auschwitz is resurrected. Slave ships sail again. So what we do to them is the same evil things that Nazis have done to Jews, that whites have done to blacks, that men have done to women, and so on. Think about this. Every second of every minute, of every hour, of every day, female animals are raped to impregnate them so we can steal their babies, separate families from each other so we can kill them and sell their flesh and skin.
And still, Gary, you'd repeat what you said not a long time ago, that every woman who wears a fur coat should be raped brutally for her to stay with a scar. Would you repeat that?
I wish nothing but evil things on evil people. I stand by that. I hope Nazis get raped. I hope child molesters get raped. I hope rapists get raped. I certainly don't wish for them to hit the lottery and have bags of money and lollipops fall from the sky and land in their laps. I also said that men should be raped if they wear fur coats. How come nobody is upset with those statements, but just the rape on the women? And let me be clear about something. Those women in fur coats have paid people to rape animals. So let me be clear about this too. When the rapists stop raping the animals, I'll stop wishing that the rapists get raped. And keep in mind, I only wish rape. People actually commit rape, and then they think they're better than me or they're more moral than I am.
Finally, Gary, last question. Do you think that Israelis are easier to convince, or is it much harder with us?
Well, right now, Israel is proven to be the vegan mecca right now. It has been my experience after lecturing to 60,000 meat, dairy, and egg eaters across America, 2,400 lectures in 30 states at 180 schools, that people who have been oppressed, they always seem to understand oppression better than people who have never been oppressed, such as white males. So I think Israel will become the first vegan nation on this planet, and I'm looking forward to that day in my lifetime for sure, and I'm definitely looking forward to visiting Israel again in December.
We'll be delighted to have you. Gary Yurofsky, thank you so much for being with us. Looking forward to your visit.
Thank you.
כאמור, הוא מגיע בדצמבר, תהיה הזדמנות להקשיב שוב לאיש המרתק הזה.